Being negative about Megadeth has been kind of the standard for fans for the past 30 odd years of the band's career. Since Euthanasia in 1994, their discography has been frustratingly uneven, with surprising highs and unexplainable lows in rapid succession. This past Friday, Megadeth have released their final self-titled album after 41 years of recording and touring. Today, we will find out if Megadeth took one final disastrous risk, if their new album will leave us scratching our heads thinking, so far, so good. So what? Or if Dave Mustaine will prove once and for all that killing is indeed his business. This is Rock Kaput, two Germans talking about rock and metal. My name is Oliver, and in order to give you a well-rounded view of the album, I have invited Alex from the USA, a Megadeth fan, maybe not from day one, but definitely from day 1.5. Hi, Alex, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, cool. So we've been living with the final Megadeth album for the past couple of days and gave it a couple of spins to wrap our heads around this fact. I mentioned that you've been around the band for quite some time. Maybe you will you can say something about that, your relationship to Megadeth.
Sure. Yeah. So just quickly, I got in Megadeth. I got into thrash metal with the release of Master of Puppets. So early 86. And as soon as that happened, then I went full on thrash and discovered Megadeth because they were one of the big four. They were prominent. And I picked up their debut album months before Peace Sells came out. And once Peace Sells came out, I had been a rabid fan already. And from that point forward, I pretty much bought every album in real time. So I've been there close to the beginning for sure.
Well, cool. Yeah. So have they been your favorite thrash metal band or?
Uh, I'd have to say yes because they're the one thrash band that I have every studio album of. I can't say that for certainly for Metallica for many reasons. We won't go into that now. Anthrax, I lost interest after the beginning of the John Bush. And Slayer, I think I might have every studio album. I don't have the punk cover album.
Hmm.
But Megadeth, yes, I'd have to say they are just because of the longevity and the fact that I have kept up with them throughout the years.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think when Dave announced that this was gonna be his final album last year?
Uh, skeptical just because of how many final albums and how many final tours and everything there has been. So the verdict is still out on that, whether this is or not. If it is, I think it's an interesting way to go out, and we'll dive deeper into that. But it also wasn't surprising because here's a guy who has been through a lot throughout his career and his personal life as well. So I could see this being the swan song.
Yeah. Yeah. We will talk about it, but listening to it, reading the lyrics, the whole feel that this thing has, it certainly seems like it will be his final album. At least he meant it like this to be his final album. I think we do agree on that one. So
Yep.
yeah. Um, okay, so yeah, I just to say something about that as well. I'm a little bit younger than you, so I got into Megadeth a bit later. My first album was So Far So Good So What. It was the most recent album when I got into metal, around '89. And it took me quite some time to like this album. Back in those days, I was 13 or something like that. You can't buy that many albums, so if you have an album, you are kind of stuck with it, and you have to learn to live with it. So I listened to it over and over. I still love this album, but I think it's a bit of a weird one because it starts off with an instrumental that was kind of strange for me as a kid. Instrumentals were something that was relegated to the B sides of pop singers or something like that. Um, and when and then I bought the albums, the back catalog, and of course Rust in Peace. I bought their albums until Cryptic Writings, and then I dropped out like with so many bands because I lost interest in metal at the end of the '90s. Yeah, I just had to had to rediscover all their albums when I heard they're doing their farewell. So yeah, I've come prepared for this one. Um, I'd say we just give this album a quick run through, song by song. We can each say our part, and then afterwards we discuss a little bit more what this album is about and what we think about it. So yeah, the album starts off with Tipping Point, which was already released as a video. And to me, it's definitely one of the highlights of the album. I think it's a great way to start this off. It's certainly one of the thrashiest songs of the album. It's pretty fast, pretty angry. At the end, the third act of the song, there's this breakdown. It gets a bit slower, and that's the way it ends. The video is silly, but I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah, me as well. I thought it was a great way to start. And after that really cool kind of guitar intro, I thought I was listening to something off of Rain and Blood. I mean, it gets really heavy pretty quickly and stays that way throughout. I think it's aggressive, but also catchy. And I think that's a trademark of Dave in that, again, we mentioned the big four or other thrash bands in general. He can write a catchy song, even if it's a thrash song, and that's not easy to do.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah. So the next song is I Don't Care, which is in the vein of I had to think of, because I was talking about So Far So Good So What, where he covered Anarchy in the UK, and he always had these kind of yeah, more punky, rebellious short songs on his album where he yeah, uses his kind of characteristic sneer and snarl to full effect, and I think this one um, fits in here. Um, of course, the title says what it's about. I don't care. So it's another one of the typical Mustaine self-aggrandizement anthems, where when we know him, we don't really buy that he doesn't care. But yeah, I thought it's a nice song, but it's not a great song. It's serviceable. Yeah, nice to have, but not a highlight for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I get that punk element. Again, I grew up as much of metal, punk as I did metal. So yeah, that definitely comes across. Um, I like it. Again, not a standout on the album. And I agree. When Dave says I don't care, he really does care. He's just masking it, right? So this is the typical kind of two sides of the coin of Dave Mustaine. But again, 1-2 punch is I'm into the album after those two. So
Yeah, okay. So let's get into the next song. Maybe you want to start. It's called Hey God.
sure. Yeah. So this is one of those classic self-reflection songs that Dave Mustaine does. He as much as people may say he's an asshole, and maybe he is, there are moments where he does look inwards, right, and reflects on things. I think that's what this song is. I think it's a nice mid-tempo song. Again, I'm after 3 tracks, I'm into this. There's nothing that is turning me off. There's nothing that's saying to me why they put this album out. Is this really good for the last album? So after 3 tracks, I'm still on board with everything.
Okay. Yeah, I think this album is we will get into that, because I think the album is interesting, but it's not that musically exciting. I thought Hey God, I didn't like the vocal melody. Mm, but I think the song in itself is interesting. You said it. He goes looks inward. It's one of his conversational songs. He has those a lot, songs that seem to be like a letter to someone, and he's reading it kind of to the listener. So here he's talking to God and kind of reflecting on his life and what he's done and stuff like that. And I think like 30 or 40 years ago, this song would have sounded a whole lot different, just because Mustaine's voice isn't anywhere where he was at in his heyday. He sounds a bit weaker. Sometimes he has this kind of weird tremble in his voice, as if he doesn't have full control over it anymore. And this gives this song a whole different edge than it would have had, yeah, like 30 years ago. It's way softer, less angry. He almost seems unsure about himself and what to make of his life, full of doubt. And that's something I took from this album, and it kind of moved me. He seems to be at peace with himself, and that's weird because he never seemed to be at peace with himself for his whole career.
Yeah, just to follow up on that's a great point, and I agree. His vocal power is not what it once was. That doesn't bother me. I love when a singer's voice reflects who they are at that moment, right? And I'm going to get into that towards the end of the album. But
Yeah.
to me, that was a plus. And I, as we all do, we do these videos, but we also watch other people's videos. And this really has been across the board. Love it, hate it. This is my favorite track. That's my favorite track. I don't like this track. A lot of people didn't like Hey God, and I get that. But from the point that we just made, I think it's a standout because of that. We're seeing the real Dave.
Yeah. Think so too. Yeah. Okay, do the next one as well.
Okay, so Shred's up next, right?
Puppet Parade. Right?
Oh
no, you're right.
Let There Be Shred.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let There Be Shred. Fast and Furious. Love this track. This is again now Dave being Dave and boasting, right? Because now we have him saying, I'm the guy, I'm the guitar guy, I can shred. Megadeth is the band that does the speed metal thing the best. And I like that. Again, I like both sides of Dave. He's kind of got that Batman villain Two-Face kind of thing. But both sides have some good points and both sides have some bad points. And sometimes when he's braggadocious, it's a little much. But in this case, I think it's warranted, right? He was there. He was at the origin of speed metal, of thrash metal. And I think it comes across on this song, which is, again, back to my original point, Fast and Furious, the Megadeth that I really like.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is that, and I didn't realize it till now actually, because there's really not that many metal singers that explicitly sing about themselves. I mean, I guess if you're writing a lyric, you do it from your own perspective, but you kind of put it into a little story, or you're not talking directly about yourself. But Dave Mustaine has done this a lot, and he's been at the center of his lyrics. His personality has been front and center, and here he's doing this kind of. It's a little bit. Rappers do this a lot, reflecting on their
100%.
career, looking back and talking about what they've done and the great things they did and the songs they put out and the battles they've won. You don't get this from metalers that often.
Yeah.
But
and I think it shows that the real chip that Dave has on his shoulder. We don't get that with Hetfield or Joey Belladonna or Tom Araya. I mean, he's a different cat as far as this style of music goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that this kind of storytelling aspect where he's talking about his musical journey. So the song is great. It's another thrasher like the opener, Tipping Point. So that's. For me, that was one of the clear highlights, but also a song that signals that this might truly be his last album. Because,
I love when he says, the day I was born, a guitar in my hand. I mean again, he's saying, I'm the guy.
Yeah, and it's also a bit, it has this kind of bluesy storytelling, being born with music in your blood, and it's like the pact with the devil you made. You have to play the guitar.
Yeah, he's the Robert Johnson of thrash.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the next one, now it's Puppet Parade. Um, yeah, it's another more melodic song. I mean, it's a bit tired to say that, but I thought there were actually a couple of songs where I thought, yeah, this could have been on Countdown to Extinction or Euthanasia, which were yeah. And on the albums after that, there were always these kind of more melodic sounds that weren't quite thrash, um, a little bit more hard rocky, you could say, or softer kind of metal. Um, and here it's very mellow. Yeah, it's mostly his voice, I think, again, that he can quite pull off the sneer he had back in the day. So that was always the with many songs the problem I had, that I think he can quite carry the melodies that well, and they come off a bit too timid or weak. Yeah, that's his voice he has now. So the song is fine. It's nothing great. It's not a bad song, but yeah, you see that he's not working at his full capacity anymore. So a reason why he's quitting, obviously, as well.
Yeah, I don't have much to add about this track. It's an okay track for me. I will say that using the word puppet is a little suspect. We've he'll say to his dying day that he's made peace. And I think in the recent documentary came out, he's made peace with Metallica. There's always going to be that there. I mean, and so whether or not this was a dig on Metallica or not, or I don't care, or the Shred song, there's just a lot of points in here where you could say he's looking back and reflecting. He's also remembering all that happened with Metallica, with him in the band, with him out of the band, and so again, middle of the album, not bad, but not a standout for me.
Yeah. And I think that goes for the next song as well, Another Bad Day. I like the melody a bit better. It's very similar to Puppet Parade, I think. A rock song, harder rock song, more melodic. Yeah, I like the melody a bit more, but other than that, it didn't leave that much of an impression to me. It's okay.
No, yeah, it's same here. I have down here. It's just okay. Another kind of down on your luck story. He does that a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, again, not bad. I'm not losing interest in the album, but I'm not walking away from it with tracks 5 and 6 stuck in my head.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us something about the next one, Made to Kill.
Okay. This is a good classic old school thrash song. The riffage is there. Uh, Again, I like it. I don't have much to say about it other than it does now pick up a little bit. I think we're gaining some momentum coming off the last 2 tracks. Solid. And again, we're now 7 songs into this, and I'm ranking this a lot higher than some other albums in their catalog so far.
Yeah. Yeah, not much to add. In the start, it gives off a little Rust in Peace vibes in the riffing and the interplay with the lead guitars and the rhythm. Um, I wanted the verses are more melodic, and then there's a more thrashy part that comes afterwards, but I don't know if it's the chorus. I didn't check the lyric sheet. I don't think it was the chorus. Maybe it's a bridge. I don't know. It has a weird structure. This song, nice solos throughout the whole thing. Yeah, another song where you can hear the strain on Mustaine's voice, but yeah, it's a bit better than the 2 songs that came before for me. Yeah. So next one would be Obey the Call. You want to
You
go
want to take
on?
it? Yeah. So I like this. I think it's a slower, it's kind of a gloomy, doomy track. Um, Again, this album is very varied in the sound, not unlike many Megadeth albums, right, where they don't stick to one note. So I kind of like the sequencing. I like the way it's broken up, even though there's some songs I like more than others. It's got a nice flow, and so when we hit this song coming off of Made to Kill, I just think it makes for again, a nice flow. And now I'm more encouraged about hearing what's going to come after this.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's yeah. I was thinking about Countdown to Extinction, um, but it's kind of stupid to always come on with these comparisons, because obviously it was a very successful album back then, and it kind of marked a change in Megadeth sound. So in the albums that came afterwards, they basically switched between these, or he switched between these two styles, going more thrashy, having these more melodic hard rock songs, you could say, and then songs where he could combine the two styles. So to say it sounds like Countdown is a bit silly, because he did this all the time after that. Yeah. And you said this song made you kind of curious and positive for the songs that came after. And to me, I Am War, at first I didn't really notice it. I was listening to the album, not paying maybe too much attention, but then I sat down with it and listened a bit closer, and this song really got me, because it was the song where I realized, man, he's really going to end his career with this one. And I almost shed a tear for when I was listening to the song. And that was the song where I thought, his voice fits perfectly. The fact that he sounds a bit weak, and he's struggling, and maybe he can't quite go where he wants to go, and that really makes the song for me. It's lyric wise, it's you could say it's what another one of these songs where he's talking about himself. I mean, I am war. The I is in the title, and he describes himself as this kind of world-weary warrior who's battered and bruised from all the fights. Very looking back on his life and what he's gone through, and you have this voice. That I love that song. I thought that was great, and it made me appreciate the album more.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with this. And again, I saw some people that didn't really care for the song. And here's the problem with doing these reviews so quickly after it's released. In the past, we would live with albums for weeks and months and then read a review in the magazine. Now everything's instantaneous. So there are things that are going to grow in you and you're going to like more. There are times you're going to like something right off the bat and then not like it as much. So I think this is one that if you really spend time with it, it's a fantastic song. It's probably my favorite song on the album. You summed up beautifully. You feel him when he's singing this song, and you can take it. What I love is a song that you can make your own, or it could be anything. So this could be war, right? Singing about war. I am war. This could be a person that has inner demons. This could be Dave Mustaine talking about himself in this way, which he says, yes, I am war. I am hurt and pain. I am misery. I am lost in sorrow. That's some deep stuff if you take it from the context of Dave talking about himself and his life and what he's going through. And 100%, this where now I'll bring up the vocals, this and the next song. This reminds me a lot of those final Johnny Cash albums that he did with Rick Rubin, where you knew, and I'm not saying this is the end of Dave's life, so let's not say that, but Johnny Cash knew it was the end of his life, and Dave is talking about this as the end of his career. And man, you can hear it. And again, whether you can sing and hit a note and pitch perfect, I don't give a shit about that. I would like feeling. And this song, man, it same as you, it hit me. This, if you don't really understand what the message could be, you're losing a lot, because this is a song that is from the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice that we thought the same about it. Why don't you say something about the next one, the last note?
Yeah. So, this is Dave now reflecting even more, right, on everything and all his adversity. And there's a lot in his life. He starts out with Metallica, and they're looking like they're going to be, a big thing, which they ended up being. And boom, he's out of the band, and he starts over, and he's got that anger, and it that follows him through for many many years, and then he has the problem with his arm, and is he ever going to play guitar again? And then he has throat cancer, and am I going to survive this? So that's a lot to go through, and we've all gone through our own trials and tribulations, and this is another song that hits home. And when you listen to this, you can respect Dave the artist, right? A lot of times you have to look past a musician's personal beliefs or politics, whatever, and separate that from the music they're making. Sometimes it's hard. With Dave, it's kind of easy because it can be unlikable at points, but okay, get past that. He's making some great music, and he has some good points, and this song, I think, is just it sums everything up. So if this is the swan song, and we'll get it, I want to get into that because it's a bonus track, so it really isn't the swan song on the album. But let's say there wasn't this bonus track. If this is the last song on the last album, and I wrote down the lyrics, so I want to get this right, where he says, the final curtain falls, a quiet end to all. Now it's just memories in my mind. And then he goes on to say, here's my last will, my final testament, my sneer. I came, I ruled, now I disappear. That's pretty deep for Dave, and very true and honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I made the same note because I thought it was so cool that he was referring to a sneer, because people always say he has the sneer, and yeah, for him to recognize, yeah, that's kind of my thing. I thought it was cool. Um, Nothing much to add. What I want to say about it is, what I think is really cool about it. You could say that, yeah, like ending an album like this, and I mentioned the word self-aggrandizement with in yeah, with Dave, and he did this a lot. So yeah, you could make a spectacle out of your final album. Yeah, like invite all your friends and have a guest on each song, and invite an orchestra, and I don't know what, make an opera out of it. But that's absolutely not what he's doing. I think this is the most intimate and small album they have ever done. Um, it's short. I mean, maybe Peace Sells and So Far So Good, Killing Is My Business probably as well were short because, okay, that was the vinyl era, and albums weren't supposed to be longer than 40 minutes. But after that, his albums were usually longer, tended a bit to bloat, and or he made these big statements and had samples and whatnot on his records. And here it's so stripped down, and I think this comparison to the Johnny Cash albums with Rubin are fitting, because they were stripped down as well. It was just Cash and his voice and his guitar and nothing else, and that's what he's doing here. And I think that's kind of beautiful to go out like that. It seems so honest and real.
Yeah, this all goes away if we do this in 5 years and they have another album out, right? But again, I don't know if that's the case here. No, just on the length. Yes, this is, so it's 10 tracks and 41 minutes, so it's short and concise. It's 11 tracks, 47 minutes if you count the bonus, which is Ride the Lightning, and that bonus is on all versions. And this, I like that track. It reminds me of and Dave was a co-writer on that Metallica song, right? If this would have been on Peace Sells, it sort of reminds me of that era of Megadeth. But again, was it necessary? Dave will have his reasons of why he did it. Was this a last dig at Metallica to say, I'm going out and I'm taking my song with me? I don't know. I can't speak for Dave, but I don't, as a fan of Megadeth and a fan of Metallica, I don't think it was necessary. I think you should just ended it on those 10 songs. You made your statement and go out.
Yeah, I actually had the first few spins I gave this album, I had the same thought. I thought man, if he had done this like 40 years ago, he would have ripped Metallica to shreds. They were on their Black album back then. Um, he was still at his full guitar powers and vocal powers, and he had this great band behind them. And well, now obviously he can't quite pull this off. So why does he do it now? He certainly won't top the version of Metallica they did on Ride the Lightning in '84 or '85. So yeah, I thought he hasn't done himself any favors. But then when I got into the vibe of the album, the things we talked about in regard to I Am War, for example, or Hey God, um, I thought that it's a pretty ballsy move to do this at this point in time when he isn't the guitar wizard anymore. Um, and it seems like what I said in regard to Hey God, that he seems like at peace with himself, and that's what this song also communicates to me, because hey, it's his song, it's part of his life, and he can do it now. And if you think it's not as good as the version Metallica put out, fine. But you can take this song from me, and I will put it on here because this is my final album, and here's where it all started. So I thought it was actually pretty cool and moving. Do I need this version of the song musically? Probably not. But to close this album off, I thought it was kind of beautiful, as imperfect as it is.
Well, you know, and maybe if it was a different place in the album, I'd have a different opinion. And also, I have a problem calling it a bonus track. I mean, a bonus track should be something that is special to someone, but this bonus track is available to everyone. Now, being the collectors that we are, if you really want to dive into this, there's a last note instrumental on the Japanese version of the CD. There is an expanded digital version that has an extra track, and there is a Target, which is in the States a department chain store.
Yeah.
They have a exclusive track as well. So you'd have to get 4 or 5 versions to get all the bonus tracks. And I wish I bought the on vinyl. Bad World Records put out one of those liquid filled records, and it's got red and orange. And I'd love to hold it up and show it, pretend I'm showing it. But we have a snowstorm on the East Coast right now, so the mail did not come today, or it would have been delivered, and I'd be showing that. So anyway, that's just a quick little bit for the collectors out there. If you really want to dive into this, you've got a multitude of versions that you can get.
Mm. So what's your takeaway from the album right now?
So I like it, and we'll do a little spoiler alert. We're going to be doing a ranking of the Megadeth albums, right? And you'll see where it falls, but it's not at the top and it's not at the bottom. I'll say that. I think it's a very solid album. I give it a little bit a higher rating because of the sentimental nature of it, of being the final album. But having said that, I think it's a very good album. Do I like it more than the last album, The Sick, The Dead, and The Dying? No. I think that was a stronger statement, but I think this is a more definitive statement if it is going to be the end.
Yeah, for me as well. I said it a couple of times now. Musically, this certainly isn't their strongest album. There are some throwaway tracks on there that don't really hurt, but you won't take that much away from them. But it's a very special and unique album. Even if it wasn't their last, I mean, the tone of the whole thing would be different. But yeah, but it's pretty unique in their discography, I'd say. and I mentioned this before, that it seems so small and stripped down and intimate, and it's unique for metal as a whole. I'd say, because you rarely metal doesn't really get this personal most of the time. You know, it's more of a kind of topic music. You know, bands sing about stuff, but not that much about themselves or about their emotions or something like that. Maybe in certain genres, but so it has a kind of singer-songwriterly feel to it almost.
And let's not, we're praising Dave, and rightly so, but Timu, who debuts on this as far as recording, does fantastic job on guitar and has songwriting credits on almost every song. So he was a big part of that. I think that sort of helps with the overall sound. And I will say it's also a great return of Vic Rattlehead, who for some albums was absent or misused. But I think the Blake Armstrong is the artist who did this. It's a beautiful album cover, great interpretation of Vic. So that's a plus too. I mean, and I look at all of that. I'm old school, so when I get the album, hopefully tomorrow, I'll sit there, I'll look at the album cover, I'll look at the liner notes. I mean, all of that means something to me. So they put together a nice package in total, not just the music.
Yeah. I love the production as well. I think that's something where it's actually better than the last albums, because I didn't really care that much for the drum sound on the last two records. It had this very compressed modern sound that seems a bit artificial, and here it's very warm sound. The drums sound very natural. I think it to me it sounds beautiful. Really, it has, and this fits the whole spirit of the album, I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have nothing to add on the production. I agree that it's the right production for these songs for sure.
Yeah. So, do you want to add anything, or can we wrap it up?
I think I've said enough. Yeah, I think we did a good job with this.
I think I'm pretty satisfied with how we tackled this album. So I know hate works better on YouTube and gets you more clicks, but hey, we wanted to share some love. Dave Mustaine, I think Dave Mustaine can need some love. He seems like he's taken his fair share of beatings, and a lot of the wounds he suffered were self-inflicted. He showed something of his personality that we haven't seen before on his final album. So that's something. Give this album some love. It's the final album of Megadeth. I guess it will be. And listen to the album and shed a tear for the great career of Dave Mustaine and his infamous sneer. So thank you, Alex, for being here with me.
Thank you, Aldo. Appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to our ranking. Can't wait to do that. And I hope you'll be with us. So if you like the video, hit thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Give us your comments. Tell us what you think about the album and how stupid we are for liking it. Whatever. And of course, stay tuned for the full discography ranking of Megadeth, and lots of fun stuff that we'll do in the future. So thank you for your time. Bye-bye.